Alright, welcome back. Get back to the build. Welcome back. Left off last night getting ready to install the nose cone and the elevator assembly here. I wanted to show you guys this. I had mentioned making something for this back plate because when you install it, you have 4 3mm bolts that go right here with a washer, and the washers are just sitting against ply. And I believe it, B1 Bob with his F-14, I guess his was crushing the wood a little bit, and it over time loosened up, so he was having to go back and tighten things up again. So what I did is went to a buddy of mine, got some heat treated aluminum here, and we just simply cut this out, drilled holes. So this will be on the back side of the wood, and the bolt with the washer will go through and will sit against this, and this will it'll help distribute the load of those washers and bolts and not crush the wood. So that's what I mentioned it last night in the build, and that's what I'm going to do, and I'll go through the install and show you. Thought about doing one for this end, but the wood's so small where this bolts, and this is such a small piece that it would just, if we made one small enough just for this, it would just crush the wood anyway. So I'll just make sure I keep this really use some good Loctite and just not over tighten these. But other than that, it's ready to go. Still have to put a servo arm on here, but I don't have the ones I'm going to use yet, so I'll hold off on that till later. What I was going to mention also last night is when you tighten these guys up right here, tighten these the bolt with a lock nut, you got these brass brass bushings. Don't crank on this too hard or too tight, because what it'll do, I would say booger up the end of those brass bushings against that bearing, and pretty much it'll end up it could bind, cause a little bit of binding. Plus it can damage the bearing inside the ball end, or the rod end as well. So just make them nice and snug where you don't have any slop, and that should be good enough. Alright, back to this nose cone / equipment tray. I went ahead and painted it white. Just use some regular flat white paint, no big deal. I had to go through and use a Dremel or Dremel, depending on where you're from, and clean out these grooves a little bit to make it go through. There's 3 pieces of plywood with the kits, a long, 2 shorts. Here's the piece that the nose P-dot screws onto. Has 2 little bolts that go through here to hold it on, and then of course there's your needle, or P-dot. It goes on a certain way. You can kind of see how the angles here are offset, so it's kind of like an upside down cross. So you can see that this matches, and it simply just slides in like that. And then once it's in, take these wood pieces, and there's grooves cut out on the back of it. They're a little bit thicker, wider than the actual piece here, and you just slide these in behind here in those grooves, and that locks it in, of course after you glue it. What I noticed with mine is when I put it on, it would actually pull it up a little bit to get it to line up with the hole, which you have to drill a little hole in the center. I just started small and gradually worked it a little bit bigger, so that way it didn't chew it up or crack the nose cone in any way. So what I'm going to do is put my piece on, attach the nose cone, and however this thing sits with it on the aircraft like it should be, everything lining up and even, I'll just come in from the canopy up here, because you can get to this area back here where the glue, and just go ahead and drop the glue in, and then I'll go back and put these in afterwards, because I may have to cut a little bit bigger groove on the bottom, because like I said, it does pull out a little bit from the bottom, and that's just makes this line up a little bit better. I thought about, you know, shifting this up a little bit, cutting the grooves, but this one's right at the top of the skin, so in order to get any further, you can't. It's as high as it'll go. So that's what I'm gonna do. Not a big deal, but I'll go ahead and get some glue mixed up and I'll glue it.